The 2022 Kia Carnival is a minivan in the past known as the Sedona. Seating up to 8 travelers, the 2022 Kia Carnival rivals the Toyota Sienna, Chrysler Pacifica, and Honda Odyssey, just as 3-column hybrid SUVs like the Kia Telluride. Offering a stage to the K5 fair-size vehicle and the Kia Sorento, the 2022 Kia Carnival sits in the minivan focus of the Venn graph of vehicles, hybrids, and SUVs. We give it a 7.5 out of 10. Another name, new identification, new tech and well-being highlights, just as another plan all around introduce the new Carnival. The made right corners read more like the hybrid SUVs across the display area floor, and it works, with the sliding side entryways and the obvious backside the greater giveaways of its family hauler status. We could manage without a portion of the gleaming metallic and dark trim all around. The lodge is liberally coordinated and equipped like the Telluride's, nevertheless glossy plastic trim on the entryways gets fingerprints too effectively, and gleamy metal on the scramble in the top trim scowls at the driver. The Carnival taps a sufficient 3.5-liter V6 with 290 horsepower and 262 pounds-to-foot of force. Collaborated with an 8-speed program transmission, it's useful for speed increase in the fair compromise range, and to tow 3,500 pounds. It passes on the more current V6 found in the Telluride, and skirts the Super 4 and crossover powertrains on offer in the new 2021 Sorento. EPA evaluations show it holding set up, at 22 miles per gallon joined, yet this present minivan's considerably more charming to drive than its archetype, with a very much damped ride as its trademark. It doesn't drive enormous, as it may. The Carnival's enormous inside, however. 7 grown-ups can fit inside, and the 4 or 5 in front get extravagance features on the SX and Prestige adaptations, with warmed and cooled calfskin seats in the subsequent line, just as leaning back aircraft-style seats with broadening footstools. The sliding seat second column seat is better for adaptability, yet it doesn't crease into the floor, delivering the Carnival as valuable as the Odyssey and Sienna, the paragons as yet the Pacifica. All Carnivals procure top accident test appraisals and come furnished with programmed crisis slowing down, vulnerable side screens, and dynamic path control. Expensive variants sat on versatile journey control, an Encompass C camera framework, and vulnerable side cameras that project data in the instrument bunch. Standard accommodation highlights on the $33,275 Carnival LX incorporate forced sliding entryways, a 8.0-inch touchscreen with remote Apple CarPlay and Android Auto similarity, remote cell phone charging, and up to 9 USB ports. A 12.3-inch computerized instrument bunch and 12.3-inch touchscreen are accessible. The $47,275 SX Prestige model has a twin-sheet sunroof, the aircraft seats, cowhide upholstery, those twin 12.3-inch screens, metallic trim, and 12-speaker Bose sound. All Carnivals have a 5-year/60,000-mile guarantee. With its light SUV signs applied to a major box minivan body, the Carnival's an appealing option in contrast to a high-riding hybrid. We give it a 7, with focuses for inside and outside. The Carnival's made right backside with incorporated rooftop spoiler and a phony back slide plate honor Kia's SUVs. As an afterthought, a chrome-like back column is a greater augmentation of the Sorento's corner window peculiarity, yet it's molded like the columns on the Telluride. Buff wheel curves house 17 or 19-inch wheels accessible in dark amalgams, and chrome on dark rocker boards give it some pop. A belt line folds over the vehicle through the sliding entryway brake to outwardly associate the full-width taillights to the LED headlights. Crimped daytime running lights run over haze lights and edge a grille that seems sunken in how the pieces move forward in size from base to top. It very well may be mistaken for a SUV notwithstanding the obvious backside, and those mission-explicit sliding side entryways. The Carnival's lodge looks a great deal like that of the Telluride, less that SUV's independent screen and control center mounted get handles. The Carnival's more open cockpit is flooded with computerized shows on top trims, and outlined by groups of precious stone-designed aluminum trim on the top SX Prestige trim. That accompanies issues. The aluminum trim to one side of the directing wheel reflects into the side view mirror and obliterates about a fourth of its view. It and the SX are slathered in determinedly unkid accommodating gleam dark trim, down to the entryway pulls, and the Prestige's extravagant cowhide upholstery looks too pleasant to ever be stained with ketchup and equation. As Grandad's pseudo-Newell, it's on point. As a Rubbermaid holder for your family, it's possibly excessively pleasant. It's a fine entertainer, yet the Kia Carnival doesn't get probably the most recent drivetrain tech from its relatives. For its spongy ride, we give it a point better than expected, for a 6 here. The front-wheel drive minivan utilizes a 3.5-liter V6 that makes 290 horsepower and 262 pounds-to-foot of force. With an 8-speed programmed transmission, the 2022 Carnival can tow 3,500 pounds, same as the active model with its 276 horsepower 3.3-liter V6. That motor was imparted to the Kia Sorento until it was overhauled for 2021 with a Super 4.5 breed choice. The Carnival has neither of those, nor does it get the 291 horsepower 3.8-liter V6 in the Kia Telluride. It's fine. There's nothing unusual about the manner in which the Carnival drives. Over 100 miles of turnpike and delicately banked streets, it scarcely skirted a solitary upshift as it sunk into an especially agreeable expressway cut. It's a highway champion, with practically no inclination in its controlling outside of the falsely weighted sport mode, however it keeps to its path well. With its clear swagger and multi-interface suspension, the Carnival's truly adept at damping out harsh streets. With 19-inch the entire season tires as its greatest size, base vehicles get 17 inches, it's somewhat greater at that than the Telluride, which can ride on 20-inch humdingers. With seating for 7 or 8 individuals, and enough in-case space to pull home a highboy, the 2022 Carnival finishes out our appraisals for facilities. Top renditions have all-around definite insides that sit barely short of acquiring a last point here. The Carnival's a 9. The Carnival sits 203.0 inches long, on a 121.7-inch wheelbase, estimations almost indistinguishable from those of a Chrysler Pacifica. How it manages that inside space isn't exactly pretty much as adaptable as the class-driving Chrysler, however it's still very acceptable. Column 1 travelers get the best space, obviously. Base physically changed material seats in the LX model quickly update with power, engineered calfskin, warming, cooling, and genuine stowaway in the Prestige. The Carnival's forced calfskin seats offer great solace and a fine driving situation for loads of drivers, and they're not walled off from one another by an enormous mid-control area as in certain SUVs. The cockpit radiates an open energy, with great stockpiling for telephones, keys, containers, and paper pack suppers in a hurry. In 8-seat designs, the Carnival has a sliding center seat that in its most forward position can be reached by the front traveler to supplant a binky or check a few piggies. Seat solace and headroom are generally excellent. That seat can likewise be collapsed down to change over to a table with incorporated cup holders. Every one of the 3 of these second-line seats can be taken out separately, and the 60-40 split third-line seats can be collapsed into the floor, yet removable, perhaps, for youthful guardians who have a portion of the more intricate IKEA packs under control and haven't destroyed themselves truly. Stow-in floor seats stay a superior thought. The 7-seat game plan on top SX Prestige can transform the minivan into a parlor, with accessible leaning back chief seats that have incorporated footstools. Those seats can likewise be warmed and cooled, however they can't be taken out. As well as sliding front and rearward, they can slide along the side for greater adaptability getting in and out of the third column. The provisos: there isn't sufficient room for tall travelers to loosen up completely without pleating their feet on the front seat back, the seats don't overlap forward for third-line access, it's through the center path just, and likewise, headroom in these seats when upstanding is restricted by the twin-sheet sunroof. At 145.1 cubic feet of load space, the Carnival has 3.1 cubic feet more behind the primary column than the old Sedona, and traveler volume increments almost similar sum to 168.2 cubic feet. Behind line 3, it sports 40.2 cubic feet of freight space, behind line 2, 86.9 cubic feet, or probably as much as a Telluride. Inside trim quality is amazing on SX and SX Prestige versions, as is quietness. Base trims don't get the overlaid side windows that soggy outside sound, however. The 2022 Kia Carnival minivan withstands crashes just as it keeps away from them. In light of crash test results by the FS, who granted it a top safety pick, a 5-star rating from the NHTSA commonly follows, so we scored a point for each, another point for standard well-being highlights, and another point for great discretionary security highlights. It's a 9. Each duplicate accompanies a pile of standard well-being gear, including low-speed programmed crisis slowing down, vulnerable side screens, dynamic path control, a driver consideration cautioning, and switch stopping sensors. Upper trims add high-velocity programmed crisis slowing down, versatile journey control, front-leaving sensors, an Encompass C camera framework, vulnerable side cameras, and a radio/between-vehicle camera that permits the driver to completely take an interest in the observation state and to see and hear what's happening in lines 2 and 3. Outward vision is remarkably acceptable in the Carnival on account of a low beltline, inasmuch as the back seat headrests are brought down. With tall individuals on board and back, it's to a greater degree a hodgepodge. The Carnival's loaded up with valuable and smart components, and an awesome infotainment framework. As time goes on, its remarkable guarantee inclusion